What's poppin', y'all? What an embarrassing day for the biggest boss, Rick Ross, who we know for his castle estate and his jet that's wrapped in black and gold because he was caught in commercial. Oh my God, like right here, they caught him in that flick. It looks crazy. And the first thing that people started doing was quoting some Drake lyrics off of Whisper My Name, man. Iceman is the gift that keeps on giving. He says, if I'm lying, I'm flying economy. I bet I know who I see. And you see Rick Ross right there. And this is the funny thing too. He's got the hoodie on. He's got the jacket on. He's doing his best not to be seen. Next time, Rick Ross, you got to pull up with the shiesty. That's the only way you're not going to be seen. And the first thing that people are going to say is, man, what's wrong with him flying commercial? We've seen other rappers fly commercial. No. This is very, very different because Rick Ross's whole brand is luxury. I don't do that poor people stuff except for when he LARPs a little bit, like when he went out in his backyard and he's like, oh, I'm going to knock down my tree. Or I got myself a bull or cattle? He got himself cattle because somehow you could do some sort of write-off on land if you own cattle. Listen, I don't know. I don't got land. I don't got a crib. I'm out here thugging it out. Not paying rent either. Yes, mama's crib. Why would I pay rent to a stranger when I can just live off of mama for free? And free food. That's another thing. So with Rick Ross, he is, especially his brand and his lyrics. When I hear Rick Ross, there is no circumstance where I imagine anything to do with commercial or economy. At that, did y'all catch him in first class or was he in economy? That's a different story. But for example, like a J. Cole is arguably music-wise richer than Rick Ross. But we see J. Cole riding his bicycle. That you listen to J. Cole music, and if you see him in a private jet, you're like, what the hell? Get back in that 1999 Honda that's supposed to break down. That's the best you're supposed to do. But Rick Ross would reply.
For the ones who want to know where my jet at, I obviously didn't get the memo. It's being updated with Starlink. You know what Starlink is? Yeah, that's the $500,000 Wi-Fi. Yeah, that's where my jet at. And I chose to fly commercial to Colombia to go party with Trick Daddy and Ball Greasy at the Escape the States vibe. And that was a hell of a vibe. I had an amazing time. When I was leaving, that hoodie was low. Rose did it big. The boat. And y'all better stop worrying about what Rich doing. If I send my jet to go pick my mama up and I fly, motherfucking commercial, that's what I do for mama. If I send a jet to go drop her off, I walk for mama. Just so I miss that. So y'all laughing at the young too on Martyr? You can't do that. Damn sure you can't laugh at a rich nigga. Y'all better stay focused. And since it's a big deal for Rose to fly commercial, sometimes I might have to buy me a wing at the Atlanta airport. I'll buy the whole C wing.
This is Cope right here. But this is how you know Rick Ross is a crazy salesman, because he's promoting Trick Daddy's event in the midst of this. He's like, yeah, you know, I had to go to Colombia for this event. Name drops the event. Name drops the person that invited him to go there. He's like, yo, I want to go hang out with him. What's stopping you from taking a jet? What's stopping you from chartering a short flight? Hell, he would have been better off getting a speedboat and going over there than being caught in commercial. And you can tell he was trying not to get caught. If he was just coming in with the energy like how he usually would, like why don't you got your ice on? Why don't you got your chains out like you do right here? Well, that's because he would have gotten recognized in the airport and he didn't want to be recognized. So that's violation. That's strike number 2. Strike number 1 is making it seem your brand. You own your own jet, right? Even your man's Patrick Bet-David that he recently did an interview with, we don't even see that guy in commercial. So we see you in commercial. It's your brand to be rich. You talk about how much you got a jet. You talk about money this, money that, although we don't really know how Rick Ross has the level of wealth that he has. We know Birdman, who he doesn't like. We know how Birdman is rich. Okay, Drake, Nicki Minaj, Lil Wayne, Tyga in his prime, allegedly stealing and never paying anybody. One of the biggest Universal deals ever. Now managing YoungBoy after they gave him to him at Atlantic. So we understand, okay, it makes sense Birdman's rich. But how is Rick Ross nearly as rich as Birdman in terms of what we see, right? Like the jets and the homes, living in the same zip code, stuff like that. Strike 2 is getting caught commercial after you tried to hide, because Rick Ross is a flexing type of guy. And then you don't just own it. Like, he should have just owned it when he was in the airport. Like, yeah, I'm here commercial. He shouldn't have been scared to be caught. So strike 2 is being scared. And you're probably wondering, what strike 3? Is this guy going to have to walk off the pitch or walk off the field? I'm thinking pitch. What is this, soccer, football? Well, strike 3 is him talking about like, yo, why are y'all so, looking at me flying commercial? Well, you were looking at Drake. You were jet watching. This guy was trying to go jet for jet with Drake last year.
Y'all need to pray for Drake and tell him, park that old plane. It's a 1978. The cargo jet people gave it to him free for promo. And I ain't hating, but be safe, man. If something was to happen to you and I couldn't tell you this, be safe. And anybody getting on it, be safe, man. Wear your seatbelts and make sure the oxygen thing's in there, because that was just for luggage. It wasn't for human beings. Got a question. I saw you posted you got more money than Ricky Rose. And let's assume you did. Well, your best friend, Birdman, his house went into foreclosure 5 years ago. You done watched that man struggle them 5 years and ain't get that man a mansion. Because if you got more money than Rose, what's another 50 million, white boy? White boy, it's one for 40 on Indian Creek. It's one for 50 on Star Island. You got 48 hours, white boy. If you got Ricky Rose money, ain't none of my went in foreclosure. Come on, white boy. I'm finna bust a bottle. White boy, don't do stunner like that. Come on, man. What happened to that? 48 hours, the countdown has begun. And that old jet you got, they gave it to you free. That's a 1978. Be safe on that, Drizzy. Be safe on that plane. That old motherfucker. God is great.
So he randomly brings up Drake's jet and talks about, man, they had to give you that cargo jet for free. And we're just like, yeah, this is a rich off. So obviously we're all sitting back and just watching and being entertained because we can't participate in any level. But he brought up the jet. You know who we haven't seen on commercial? Drake. So even if it's free, which you know how up you got to be for a huge cargo company to just give you a plane and say, yeah, it's promo. Just fly around in it. Make sure our logo stays on it. That is wild. So we haven't seen Drake, who he's dissed consistently and tried to put down. We haven't seen him in commercial. And this is why you cannot set yourself up like Rick Ross did. You can never be caught dead in commercial if you're Rick Ross. What rappers that are bigger than Rick Ross, that are also richer than Rick Ross, that can be caught in commercial and we won't care? Kendrick Lamar, Ye. Ye has flown commercial many times. Wiz Khalifa, Birdman, nah, we can't catch him there. Who else is really up like that in the rap game? A$AP Rocky. If A$AP Rocky's commercial, we don't really care. Like, a lot of rappers, and people will say, man, it's a rapper thing. No. It's how you position yourself as a rapper. Logic. If we see Logic in commercials, we'd be surprised if we saw Logic in private. And some people will say, man, why'd you bring Logic into this? Well, Logic has made a lot of money in the rap game. A lot of money. Lil Baby, you can't get caught dead in commercial if you're Lil Baby. But I don't think it's that big of a deal in comparison to Rick Ross. There's Lil Baby, Playboy Cardi. Playboy Cardi gets caught in commercial. I don't think people really care. I think they'll be surprised, but it wouldn't harm his brand or his aura, if you want to call it that. That's off the top of my head. I just named 5 rappers. So this was a big L for Rick Ross. Like, he's trying to make excuses too. He's like, come on, guys, I had to catch this quick flight because I had to do this. All Rick Ross had to say, well, number one, he had to not set himself up as, I have my own jet with my name across it that should be at your behest at all times. And even if it's not, then you should be able to just hop on one of these jets. You get a quick jet for the day. What's 100K, right? That ain't nothing to the biggest boss. Keep in mind, the biggest boss, that's what he says. I don't know any biggest boss hopping on commercial flights like that calls themselves the biggest boss. But instead, he starts explaining himself. He should have just said like, yeah, you know, sometimes the biggest boss got to get in with the workers. Like, have y'all ever seen that show, Undercover Billionaires? Is that the name of the show? Where the owner of the company, they just go in and they work in their own company. That's what Rick Ross should have said. Yeah, you know, I'm going undercover broke, undercover normal person. I want to experience what life is like for y'all, you know, just so you can see how you guys enjoy my products. Like, for example, with the food, he eats the same food as us. Guys eating Wingstop and all that. So if he can, Checkers, I don't know if he's still involved in that. So if he can bring himself down to our level for that, he should have just been like, yeah, you know, I was just playing a little bit of undercover and that's it. But the whole like, nah, you know, sometimes I got to send the jet for my mom. I'm willing to walk if my mom needs the jet. It's like, come on, Rick Ross. You know, Drake was sending that to the OVO group chat, dying laughing, and rightfully so. So, and this is the unfortunate part too. Now Rick Ross is even more scared to fly commercial again. So he's going to keep shelling out bread to continue to fly private. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. Who are some rappers where if they were flying commercial or if they were caught in commercial, you're like, yo, that doesn't really look too hot for you. That used to be the fall off indicator. If they were in, but realistically, dude, people think flying private is way cheaper than it is. That's why I'm like, how the hell do these guys fly private? I mean, Aiden Ross, we don't catch Aiden Ross in commercial. Come on, OG, it's Aiden Ross. Yeah, Rick Ross is commercial? Damn. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see y'all on the next one.